So excited for today's chat with members of the Blanchard and Calhoun team, the company celebrating 100 years in the CSRA. Team Marshall represented by Rosemarie Marshall and Chad Trollinger. Hi guys, how are you today?
Hey, good morning, Neil.
Good, Neil. Thanks.
Great to see the both of you. Ladies first, Rosemarie, 15 years ago, you started with Blanchard and Calhoun. Where were you when you thought that you had the itch to become an agent?
Well, it's interesting. You know, we came here 16 years ago from California. Our boys, being Army, brought us, they went to Fort Gordon, right? So then we got here, and the first person that introduced me to real estate, who got us into our first home, was Sheila, and she said, "You ought to be a realtor." And I had been in human resource management and recruiting. I'd always helped people, get jobs. And I thought, whoa, I love real estate. I love investing in it. So maybe I should try it.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, and so I did, and here we are.
Oh, great. And the gentleman to your right, Chad, you've got 20 years of experience in marketing for companies like Bridgestone Golf, Augusta Sportswear, and then you've been a franchisee with Welcome Mat. Why did you want to make the transition in the last year or so to join Team Marshall?
Yeah, that's a great question. And basically, I should have listened to my wife a long time ago because we're fast in vision. I was telling my wife about things in the future. This is about 4 years ago, and she had mentioned real estate. And I said, no way, I don't ever want to do real estate. Are you kidding me? Well, one thing led to another, and I got closer to the time frame of some more decision-making things for my life. And I met with Rosemarie, and I met with a lot of other business owners in the community, kind of told them my plans for a business and real estate, being a realtor, and they all confirmed that, hey, this is something you should try out. You should do this. So I got my license at the end of last year, and then Rosemarie and I were talking more in depth about what it could mean if we became a team with Blanchard. And so she was really excited about it. And so I got caught up into the excitement about that and what it could mean for us together and me and my future and stuff like that. And so I had to do a huge shift in the past 4 years to come around being a real estate agent and what it meant. And then confirmation with Rosemarie about a team concept. And then just having someone like Rosemarie mentor me and kind of help me through it and get me started was a no-brainer. So as I talked to other business owners and entrepreneurs and even people in the real estate market here, they all confirmed this is something I should do. So,
and Rosemarie, from a service standpoint, a client standpoint, what are the extra benefits that someone who comes to Team Marshall gets versus maybe going with a solo agent?
Well, here's the thing. What I've realized, bringing Chad aboard, which is amazing, right? You bring the double experience, the double knowledge. We know what we're doing. You get 2 for 1, right? It's not just one realtor, it's both of us. So you're never left alone. You always have one or the other. If I'm busy doing something, you've got Chad on the other end, or vice versa. We love serving, and that's what it's all about.
And we're going to share some of those testimonials and even bring on one of your clients a little later in our program. But Chad, I was just in awe when you walked me through the different tasks you have to perform to get a deal done for one of your clients. Do you know roughly how many things you have to check off for there to be a closing?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's kind of overwhelming in a sense if you just look at it on paper. But I think there's around 250 decisions that we get to help serve in that process. So if you think about that just being one client, it's pretty, it's a lot. But then if you get like multiple clients at one time in the pipeline, you got like 6 or 7 clients you're working with, those decisions never go away. They're just like there for days and months and hours on end. But they're part of the process, and we get it and we understand it. That's the best way we can serve our clients, is to help those. Try to remove all those barriers from them through the process is what we try to do.
And Rosemarie, maybe that's the reason why for sale by owner generally doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. And do you know, really, I was just reading some statistics, right? That 90% of people who do for sale by owner eventually go to a realtor. Now, what does that tell you?
That's a really great point. We're going to share some success stories. Let's rewind back to when Chad first joined Team Marshall, and you worked on selling a home in the Wexford subdivision
Yes.
off of Furys Ferry Road. What do you recall about that?
Oh, there's so many things to recall, okay? We met with a lady who was a senior citizen already. She was planning to move from her home into like a semi-retirement community, right? And so when I said, Chad, come on, I need to bring you along. Let's do this together, right? It was a great experience for him, right? I don't know if he knew what he was getting into, but we started off together. We did our presentation. We took a look at the home and all the things that perhaps might be needed, because that's what we do. When we come into a home, we assess the home and the lady that we're dealing with. Conversations maybe last an hour or two at the most, right? We're in the COVID season. So we had to work a little bit differently than we normally do. Mm-hmm. All right. You had to do, say, a virtual open house instead of an actual open house in the beginning to get feedback to our client, about her home. And through that process, by the way, we met a buyer who was interested in the home. And what ended up happening in this situation, which does not happen all the time, is that we became dual agents. All right. So we represented the seller and the buyer. All right. And again, normally a home will sell in this market within a week or two. This one took a couple of months to 3 months because of COVID, number one. And because number two, eventually the lady had to make some changes to her home, whether it be painting or whether it be doing some electrical or, light fixtures to make the home sell. We were able to be convincing enough in another meeting to say, what would you like to do, ma'am? We either reduce the home or can you make some changes for us? And what do you think she did? She
made some changes.
Yes, she did.
That's wonderful. And Chad, the next transaction you were part of was even more competitive for your services. This was in Northwood. This sold for about $315,000. Now, tell me, besides Team Marshall, how many other real estate agents were involved in bidding for this client's services?
Yeah, well, we had heard that there was going to be several, because that's usually the typical process. But after we had, I think, gotten confirmation, it was she told us like around 13 agents is who she talked to.
Yes.
Why did they pick the two of you?
I think when we first meet with folks, we have some energy. We present really well, and we try to focus on servants' hearts and servant attitudes. And we're here to teach and coach and help and guide. And then we followed up with her. So once we walked away after we presented to her, which took a little while to present, we both sent cards in the mail, some texting, some emails, phone calls a few weeks after that. One, not just to say, hey, do we have the deal, but hey, how's the process coming? Because she was doing some renovating to her house already. So we were just like touching base. Is anybody we can help you out with? Anybody contractors we can send your way? And so we really feel that the sale was in the follow-up.
And Neil, do you know that home was under contract in 3 days?
Wow.
We listed over July 4th weekend. She didn't think she was going to have any showings, and we had 3 offers.
Full price?
Close to full price, okay? I mean, all cash offer,
That's, you can't do better. That's wonderful.
She was so grateful in the end. She really said, I'm so glad we selected you and Chad.
And the last success story we're going to share before we take our first break is in the Riverwood subdivision, and we'll actually meet this client a little later in the program. This one on DeWall Street sold for $345,000. And Rosemarie, you had an existing relationship with the client, and Chad, you knew the client through business for the last few years. So this one really worked out well.
Oh my gosh. Lovely folks. They're our friends. In real estate, you make relationships. They become your friends. And these have become our friends. They were so easy to work with. I mean, oh my gosh. Number one, Riverwood Plantation is a beautiful neighborhood to live in, very popular. Number two, their home was beautiful. Marcia, Robbie's wife, wonderful. Her home is already really pretty meticulous inside. There wasn't much I could add, right, to the ambiance of their beautiful home, other than market it, put my sign out, put our signs out and service them, right?
Mhm.
And within a couple of weeks, the home sold again quite quickly. But they were wonderful to work with. That communication is so important between, your sellers and the agent. And we always communicated well. So I couldn't
Sure.
ask for a better opportunity to serve them.
Well, those are just three of many transactional sales that have taken place since Team Marshall formed almost a year ago. And we should say all those three were in Columbia County, where things are very hot right now, but they can service both sides of the Savannah River in Georgia and South Carolina. Let's share a little bit more information about Blanchard and Calhoun and some of those services and ways you can reach Rosemarie and Chad as they're anxious to serve you on behalf of Team Marshall. We will be right back. Well, very pleased to be rejoined by Chad Trollinger and Rosemarie Marshall from Team Marshall. I'm Neil Gordon. And Rosemarie, we should say that there is even more to Team Marshall than just Chad and yourself. You had someone special kind of kickstarting the company many years ago.
Yes, and I had to give credit to my husband, Jim Marshall, right? Because when we arrived here, he was working full time. And when the agent said to me, I should get into real estate, Jim said, go for it, honey, right? He was working and I was able to study because, studying to get your real estate exam is like going back to college, right? And so he supported me in that endeavor. And when I got my real estate license, he later on joined me for a few years, to help out, get us going, get that Team Marshall spirit going. So I have to give some credit to him because otherwise I wouldn't have been in the business either without that support. Family is important,
And Chad wouldn't be alongside you, so that's a really nice story. Random question for both of you. When David Letterman did his program on CBS, were either of you viewers? Were you fans?
Yes.
Yes.
You liked him? And you may remember he had this top 10 list he would do all the time. Some of it was funny. Some of it was really useful. We thought with respect to David Letterman, we would provide a top 10 list of what you would suggest your sellers do to try to get top dollar and try to make the homes appealing. And ladies first, we'll start with number 10. So you suggest to give your entry a facelift. What do you mean by that?
Okay. That's always been very important to me, Neil. The front door, the entrance to look sharp and clean. Maybe it needs a little paint job. Maybe you have a black door, red door, whatever. It's been scarred up a little bit. I might suggest you might paint it because let's face it, curb appeal is so important. That's the first thing people see. So it makes a difference. And then when they enter, they know that the house has really been well maintained by the front appearance of your home.
Well, speaking of curb appeal, Chad, landscaping the yard, what do you recommend that is entailed in landscaping? How frequently and what some extra touches maybe?
Yeah, when you're getting ready to list, you want to make sure that the lawn's cut at least weekly. Make sure it's edged and trimmed really well. Trim the bushes back and keep them maintained kind of below window level is really good. And also if there's like edges that need to be cleaned up or maybe like smoothed out around the house with some pine straw, that helps kind of give some curb appeal. Just make sure that like the grass and the lawn kind of draws attention to the house. Because when they step out, they're going to be looking around before they get actually to the house. So that kind of helps get it ready in the lawn.
Nice advice. And keeping outside as well. So we're, Rosemarie, going to give the entry a facelift. As you look down, sometimes you see dust balls, don't you?
Yeah, no kidding. And that is because if the doormat looks like it's worn, I suggest, hey, can we replace it? Or sometimes, I'll even bring a doormat, that says welcome. You want the people to feel welcomed. So I like the doormat to look good.
Wonderful. And for $10 or $20, it can, make a big difference. power wash the outside. Now, are we just thinking about the front of the home, or what are some areas you recommend?
Right. So you want to give it a sparkle, kind of a shine. And so it can be the driveway, the sidewalks, the front porch, all around windows, also the shutters, garage door, making sure that's nice and clean. So really anywhere that has like high visibility, it's like big areas, go ahead and get a pressure wash done on the whole area of the house. Really bring some attention to it.
Rosemary, I'm guessing in 15 years of being an agent with Blanchard and Calhoun, number 6, clean the inside thoroughly. Have you ever walked in and gone, oh?
Oh my gosh, yes, I have. You know, and you know, we have to be very sensitive to how people do live. It's their home.
Sure.
We're coming in with some suggestions. So let's say you have a beautiful countertop that's granite, but you have a lot of clutter on it. I might say to someone, is it possible we could put a few items away because we want to show off that granite countertop? Or if I go into a bedroom or the laundry room and there's clothes strewn all over the place, can we hang them up and can we make things just a little bit neater, because we're going to be taking photographs. Sometimes we'll take our own photographs, or sometimes we'll have a virtual tour done on a home. So we want things put in place. And then in terms of personal items like pictures of people's family, you know, and that's a personal thing, really. Sometimes agents will say, remove it all. And sometimes agents will say, well, leave a photo or two. So I kind of just see how my clients feel about that. But oftentimes I will suggest a few personal photos be put away, because the buyer wants to feel like it's their home, not the home of the seller. You know what I mean? So
I do.
Helpful hints.
Makes good sense. And number 5, I guess, Chad, you need to either find a good handyman, which the two of you can help with, or if you're handy, fix what's broken.
Right. A lot of people are detail oriented. When they do the walkthrough, they're going to be opening drawers, lifting up lids of certain things. So really take a fine tooth comb on those things that maybe you put aside for a long time, or, oh, I'll get to that later and fix it later on. This is the time to make sure all those things are fixed. Everything that you can do on your own, great. Everything you get a handyman to do, like I said, we can help out. But it's super critical, not only for the people walking through to buy it, but when the inspectors come in, they're going to be checking a lot of those things as well. So if you can get ahead of the curve and fix a lot of stuff yourself, remove a lot of headache in the process.
And number 4, Rosemary, you mentioned briefly declutter your house, and you can share more info. But I'm really interested, because of all your experience and Chad's connections in the business community. Do you ever get asked by someone who you list their home to help in terms of referrals to make their home even be more presentable?
I mean, yes, that is so important. Having been in real estate, again, like you said, for 15 years, you accumulate good contractors that will be there for you, okay? Whether it be an electrician, whether it be a plumber, a painter. You want to have these people in your list, because oftentimes those kinds of things are needed for our home, fresh painted home, or maybe having floors refinished. Chad and I know good contractors that can get the job done and that are reasonable for our clients.
Yeah, and that's actually the point of number 3 as well, Chad. Fresh paint and new carpet. All of the other tips we've given so far cost very little. This is actually an expense that you recommend that I'm assuming will come back at least in cost, if not more, when the home is sold.
Yeah, if you think about even a top 3 list, these are one of the top 2, paint and carpet, because big areas in the house are covered by paint and big areas are covered by carpet or flooring. So if there's anything that needs to be updated, revised, renovated, man, take that investment and put it in it, right? Just be ready to do those kind of things. But definitely, those are the first 2 things you want to look at in your home.
And we're filming you now in your kitchen area. I'm told you have a beautiful kitchen there. You have the hutch behind you, and you believe, and this is the second, so very important, organizing the kitchen. Who does that appeal to, Mama or Papa?
Well, absolutely, the kitchen is. Yeah, it depends on who the chef is in the kitchen, I guess. But here's the thing: the kitchen is really important. if you have a lot of clutter on your refrigerator, you know how people like to put their magnets on the refrigerator, and you got a beautiful stainless steel refrigerator. You want to take all those magnets off, all the kids' pictures, everything off to make that refrigerator shine, right? And let's face it, Neil, everybody wants to gather in the kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want the kitchen to look great. It's a gathering spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, decluttering, having those appliances shine, it's just it sells the house, okay?
Oh, yeah. And drum roll, please. Dun, 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 dun. The number one of the top 10 to-do list, and it seems so simple, empty the trash and hide your dirty laundry. Wow.
How about that? You wouldn't think about it, but man, when you have people coming in, it may be simple and it's easy to do, but like put those clothes in the laundry or in the dryer, in the washing machine, or go take them out and put them in your car. Just get them out of the picture, you know? And then with the garbage, if it's been sitting in there a while, you may have thrown some food from an out takeout or something and start smelling. You may become immune to it, but like you want it to smell clean and fresh and look uncluttered, like Rosemary is saying. So get rid of that stuff. I know it's simple, but do it because they're going to walk in there.
And
Rosemary, in your day, have you ever grabbed some garbage bags and gone to town outside someone's home?
oh my gosh, yes, I have. And Neil, here's the thing. It's a very competitive market, right? So the better your home looks, the better your chances of selling it before the other one, down the street. Because seriously, how your home looks inside, how it looks outside, tells the story. So it's important to have it look as best as possible.
Well, on the other side of our break, we're going to have Robbie King tell his story of how Team Marshall helped him retire. We're through the magic of Zoom. We're going to join him in another city and a beautiful community, so you don't want to miss that. Here's some more information about Team Marshall and their involvement as leaders in the community, as well as their phone numbers. Stick around. We will be back in just a minute. Welcome back to our program today, spotlighting the good service of Team Marshall, rejoined by Chad Trollinger and Rosemarie Marshall. And happy to introduce Robbie King. Robbie, make us jealous. Share with us where your new home is.
Well, we are now located just an hour outside Augusta, but in beautiful Lake Oconee. And if you're not familiar with the area, you're missing it. It's fantastic.
I suppose since you're living the life of Riley there, you probably have a few real estate agents to thank.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned a few minutes ago about retirement. I think I've retired 3 times now, and it just doesn't really take me. So I stay busy. I still come back to Augusta 1 or 2 days a week and work with my existing clients and have a great time. But yeah, it's a lot different when you're doing what you want to do versus what you have to do. But as far as the real estate goes, Team Marshall, they rock. I've known both of them for a lot of years. So Rose, and here's a testament to her. She sold us our home when we moved to Riverwood in Evans. She sold us the home, and then she also sold 2 of our sons' homes in the area. And of course, we worked with her and Chad when we sold our home in Riverwood.
Outstanding. And Rosemarie, I guess the relationship goes back a long way.
Yes, it does. Oh my goodness, it does. And actually, Marcia found me originally. It's been wonderful helping these 2 and their family, totally. So,
Chad, can you share some back or front porch conversations you had with Robbie? Because you actually lived fairly close to him.
Yes, I do. And I miss that proximity for sure. But Robbie and I, I've spent several back porch coffee, we call them kind of coffee chats, if you will. But we share life. We talked about business a lot. He was one of the guys that I spoke to about this vision with real estate and the other business that I have Welcome At. And so there was definitely a lot of healthy, challenging, iron sharpening iron conversations that we had over great coffee on his porch or in his office, wherever it may be, because he did live right down the street. And it was nice to have that access. And he took a lot of time. He's got the heart of a servant, wanting to help people out. And so he helped me out a ton.
Well, Robbie, walk us through what the experience was like selling your most recent home on DeWall Street in Riverwood.
Okay, it was a great experience. A little different with COVID. Let me back up first by saying that my wife Marcia and I, we have bought and sold a lot of real estate in the last 20 years. So we work with various real estate agents in different areas. But I guess to say all that is we have pretty high expectations from a real estate agent because of our experience. Everything that Rose has been talking about and Chad's been talking about, we did. We definitely looked at the top 10 list of things to do. Rose does a great job of pointing out and giving suggestions on what will help your home sell faster and be more appealing to buyers. And we followed that advice. And even during the COVID, we sold it right about the time that the lockdown occurred. So I can tell you personally, I wasn't too optimistic that anything was going to happen, but Rose persevered through it, and we had a lot of showings. Of course, during that time, there were a lot of precautions that had to be made, but she managed us through all of that, and yeah, we still even in those times, I think we sold the home in 3 weeks or less. So it was it was a great experience, and these guys do a great job and make it fun. And there was never there was never a time that I had any regrets that they were working with us.
Team Marshall, anything you want to ask our Lake Oconee resident before we let him go?
Yeah, so, okay, a quick question here, Robbie. So you're out there, Lake Oconee. What is the one thing that you didn't have expectation that's happened out there now that you're in retirement, quote unquote, your third retirement? That's different than the other ones.
What's different here, or that I wasn't expecting? I would say the friendliness of the community. How many people we met, even during COVID, when there's a lot of activities that aren't available. But even during that, the people have been extremely welcoming, and we already feel a part of the community.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on being out there, man. We miss you.
Well, thanks for fitting us in. It's really appreciated. We appreciate the testimony. And as we wrap up and say goodbye to Team Marshall, we're going to share a couple of other testimonials from a few satisfied clients and give you the telephone numbers if you have interest in buying or selling a home. Rosemarie and Chad from Team Marshall can help. And Chad and Rosemarie, keep serving. It's suiting you well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.
Okay. God bless. Take care, everyone.
God bless too. Bye-bye.